Hello, welcome to Six Tackles with Gus. Great to have you with us, and thanks to Tab for their support of the podcast. They're giving the punters plenty to shout about this NRL season. Lots happening in the world of rugby league. A bumper round of games too coming up. Round 10 of the competition. Where has it all gone, Gus? It's flown by.
Certainly has. Matthew Thompson, how you doing?
I'm going well, thanks. It was 12 degrees as I left the front door this morning.
Now, I noticed that because I'm heading off to Brisbane today. As soon as this podcast's over, I'm jumping on a plane to Brisbane, and I looked up the weather. It was 25, 26 degrees.
Beautiful.
So I've dressed accordingly. Mm-hmm. I walked out of the house and froze to death getting in here this morning.
Didn't leave a jumper in the car?
No, I didn't. No, I didn't.
I have a habit of always leaving my jumpers in the car, so I've probably got about 7 of them.
Yeah.
And I could never find them.
My car used to be full of golf gear, golf clubs and golf balls and tees and towels and all sorts of things. I'd have to clean it out once every 6 months just to sit in it.
Yeah.
Do you keep a tidy car?
I try to, but it's a bit of a disgrace at the moment, if I'm being completely honest.
I wonder how many people keep a tidy car. They say it says something about your personality. I try to, and then I don't.
You'd have contracts and all sorts of things.
I got Channel 9 gear, I got Bulldog gear, I got golf
footy
gear.
Boots?
Footy, yeah, no. I stopped wearing footy boots a long time ago.
Yes. No, I try to keep a tidy car. Doesn't always work out, especially when the kids get in the car. They don't keep a tidy car.
Well, yeah, when my kids were growing up, it was
It's often said, Gus, defence wins competition.
I tell you who I ran into the other night.
Oh, you go on.
At the footy, Anthony Field from the Wiggles.
Oh, yes.
And I can remember, I actually stood and talked to him. I said, because my kids grew up with the Wiggles. And I remember going out when I was at Panthers, I went out to Borkham Hills where they had where the head office was out there at the time. I'm not sure if it's still there, out near Norwest there somewhere.
Wiggles head office?
Wiggles head office, where they filmed all the ads and the shows and all that sort of thing, yeah. And the kids went to all the shows, but I could find myself driving around in the car singing Wiggles songs. There was a really great documentary on Channel 9 the other night about the Wiggles.
Was there?
I said to him, it was outstanding, absolutely brilliant, brought back so many memories.
Yeah.
Sat there and watched it with my 2 daughters. Yeah, it was terrific.
Oh, very good. What happens at Wiggles HQ?
Everything. All the production was made. This is back in the early days. All the production was made, everything. Wiggles and High Five were the 2 big ones of the day. Remember when I was coaching Origin, we ran a fan day out at Parramatta, and we figured if we got High Five along, we'd get a big crowd. So I organised with Channel 9 to get High Five to come along, and it poured raining. I mean, it absolutely teamed down all night, the old Parramatta Stadium. What year was this? Must have been early 2000.
Sorry, you had an Origin open day.
An Origin fan day. Origin fan day.
Okay.
Right, but we thought for the kids we'd get High Five along, right? So we had all the Origin players lined up for autographs, and the High Five group.
High Five singing.
The queue for High Five stretched back to Castle Hill. Everyone wanted to see High Five. Yeah.
That kind of backfired on you. There you go. So there's a Wiggles doco. You should be able to look it up on 9 now.
Well, it should be on 9 now. We watched it on. Sure, it was on.
He's a big
9.
tiger, isn't he?
Yeah.
Big tiger.
Yeah, phenomenal. Yeah. He looks well too. He looks well.
He always looks well.
They used to be in a band called the Cockroaches. Yes. And back in the early days, a mate of mine used to manage hotels and venues around Sydney, late night venues around Sydney, and the Cockroaches would often come to play. I sort of got to meet them back then, but they morphed into the Wiggles, and what a great success story that's been.
Went in a slightly different musical direction.
Yeah.
But have been worldwide successes.
Incredible. Global success. Incredible.
Let's get on to the footy. Is that right?
Yep.
It's often said defence wins comps.
Yep.
Is that going to be the case this year?
Yeah, I think so. Eventually. I don't know. I mean, right at the moment, I was having a discussion with another head coach from the NRL last night. I won't name him because I don't want to give up confidence. But
how is Wayne Bennett?
No, it wasn't Wayne. We were talking about the game, the rules, and the speed of the game. And, we saw some statistics released last week from the NRL suggesting that nothing much had changed, when internally we all know things have changed significantly. And I was sort of backing it up with some of the data that he was getting from his high performance teams and that sort of thing as well. Right at the moment, as I've said on this podcast a number of times, and I've said it on 100% Football, there are periods in the game where defences just can't keep up. And you can see that in the scorelines and the amount of points that are being scored. Some people like that, some people don't. we were actually discussing if the game was refereed like this during the Origin series, what that might look like. And I think it'll look pretty scary if it is. We talked about the injury situations. We talked about preparing teams. We talked about recovery after games. The whole high performances teams are meeting every week now about training schedules during the week in a normal 7-day turnaround, 6-day turnaround, 5-day turnaround. And because your turnarounds change so much every week, it's hard to get into a rhythm. And we're finding they need greater recovery after games than what they've done previously because the game is actually moving at more than 10% faster than what it has in previous years. So on the GPS tracking that we've got. So and that affects recovery and that affects your preparation into the next week. So it's kind of like turn up and play, recover for the next week. There's not a lot of training getting done at the moment, which is a bit of a battle for the coaches and that. But it's having its toll. There's no risk it's having its toll. And certainly on the scoreboard it's being reflected. You can't deny the fact that the points that we're seeing in some of the games. That Newcastle South Sydney game the other day, I've never seen anything like that.
Well, it would be like an aberration to have an 80-point game in previous years. We've had 2 in 2 weeks.
Yeah, well, we could have had more. Like we really could have had more. But is that now the highest losing score in the NRL history or in rugby league history? 38 points, 42 to 38.
It would have to be.
I think 38 is the highest ever losing score, certainly in the NRL era. Don't know back in the old days, but but you've got to contend with it, and it's very hard for the defences to dominate. If you've built your game on your defence and you've built your game on your ability to control the ball and control where the opposition get it, you being able to control what the opposition does these days is very limited whatsoever. You don't get that control anymore, and I think there's a few teams and coaches now trying to come to terms with that. The question is how long this continues, how long they're going to go this way. And I guess the testing material will be, as we get through Magic Round and towards Origin, what Origin looks like. And that'll be the testing material to what the rest of the competition looks like. I still think when we get to the big games, defence will always play its part. But more than ever before, I think the health of your squad and the players you've got available and the percentage of your full-time roster that you've got available is going to play a big part at the back end of the season. We're seeing some up and down results at the moment, and we're seeing teams go through good periods, struggling periods. We're seeing upsets. There's no real rhythm to it at the moment. Above all that has been the Panthers, who have sort of stood the test. But, the last couple of games they've really been tested. The Dolphins could have beaten them. Manly could have beaten them the other night. Bulldogs did beat them a couple of rounds ago. So, the competition is extremely open. It's been turned on its head a lot. And a lot of that's got to do with the way it's being officiated, don't underestimate the match review and the judiciary and the scrutiny over high contact as well, because that's having its effect on defences as well. Defences have become far less aggressive. If you're trying to avoid tackles and trying to avoid the type of scrutiny they put on high contact, which is exacerbated by teams playing for penalties, right, and milking penalties and deliberately running to get penalties. It's made it very, very difficult to play the game, to be honest. It makes it difficult, and defences have been watered down considerably. There are games where there are great defensive periods, and I thought we saw a really good game the other night between Manly and the Panthers, which was a close game, 18-16 by today's standards.
That's what I don't get, right? So how can you have, on one hand, a shootout, like we've seen, and then you get a defence-oriented game on the same day? Yeah. Well, how can it change so much?
That's the unpredictability of it. It just depends on the officiating and how the game starts, and what sort of rhythm the game gets into, and then what the referee accepts from both parties as they are. As I've said to you, I mean, to my mind, refereeing is creating a balance between attack and defence. But if they start early in the game, giving away 6 agains and giving away high contact penalties for very marginal things, then just on the score of consistency, they've got to kind of maintain that right through the game. If they can just let the game breathe for 10 or 15 minutes before they get into that, it can settle down, and then you can have a little bit more equality between attack and defence. That's my theory anyway. And talking to a few other NRL coaches, they feel the same. It's been frustrating, but it's not just the 6 agains. It's not just the rules, the tackle techniques, the scrutiny over hip drops, the scrutiny over high contact, players playing for high contact, HIAs and everything like that is all having its effect on the physicality of the defence, and therefore the defence, with the power and the speed and the skill of the players, is not having as much impact as it has in previous years.
All right.
Does that make sense?
There's a very good overview to start our episode of 6 Tackles with Gus today. Let's get on with yes, no.
I thought that was my first yes.
No. That's the rule. No. Dear.
Well, we'll take that as a yes.
Yes.
The first one, yes. Paul Gallen's next fight will be against James Bracey.
Yeah, why not? Yes! How good was that? 100% footy. They went at it.
He held his hands up, my man Brace.
He's fiery.
I've been on the end of a couple of stinging rebukes from Brace over the years.
He's very passionate about the Bears. Yes. He loves the Bears. Yeah, but it was frustrating for him. I mean,
I think what Gal was getting at, and I don't want to put words in Gal's mouth, but with all of the, the adulation around the Chiefs signing Doueihi and all the noise, etc. I think Gal was getting at that Perth haven't really been able to create a headline story that's put them in the press to that extent. I think that's what he was trying to say.
Yeah, it's the point he was trying to say.
Yeah.
And to a certain extent, he had a point, right? Because there was a lot of play this week about the Jerome Doueihi and the PNG decision. And the PNG thing is it's right out of left field for our game. That's been a huge thing in our game for the government to step in and say we want to assist PNG to have a franchise up there to play in the National Rugby League competition, and then the Rugby League agreeing to accommodate that. Even though it's going to still be a very difficult task to get them up and running competitively and to do it for over a sustained period. Now, the PNG Chiefs have started with a bang because they've pulled Jerome Doueihi out of nowhere and then all of a sudden in the middle of the night signed him up and made a big splash about it, which I can only imagine, it rattled the Tigers and they had a poor result last week as well. But it kind of put what Perth's been doing under the spotlight a little bit so far as Gal was concerned. Now, Perth, we've been to Perth before. Perth has had sporting franchises before. We know that Perth are coming in next year. And Perth have probably gone around things rather quietly because, there is a bit of a moral code amongst the clubs that we don't advertise that we've signed each other's players. And these days you've got to sign players 12 months in advance and you kind of sign it. Yes, we're doing it, but we'll talk about it when they get here. And you don't advertise or use them in your marketing or use them in your promotions or membership sales and everything like that. And Perth have probably followed that a little bit. They've been, tinkering, getting around the edges of the market, trying to pick up some value. If they've really landed a marquee player, probably not, but they've signed some good, solid first-grade footballers. Maybe their marquee player is yet to come. But this PNG thing, particularly everyone talks about the tax-free dollars and what a life-changing thing that could be for players who decide to do that. It's just an extraordinary circumstance, and it has probably to some extent put the Perth Bears back on the back foot so far as media exposure. But Perth Bears aren't going to start promoting themselves until next off-season, and they won't start till next off-season. And under normal circumstances, that would be fine. PNG aren't coming in for another 18 months.
Yeah.
And if we're going to get this every time they sign a player, we're going to have 18 months of pretty strong headlines, and it's rattling around the NRL at the moment. There's no risk in the world. People are wondering, well, would people go to PNG? Would they actually go? Is the lure of tax-free dollars, and PNG have got a big scalp straight away in Jerome Doueihi, he's gone up there, he's had a look at it and said, yep, this is what I want to do. And we spoke about, I spoke about the fact that when you go there and hear their story and what it is they're trying to do through this NRL franchise, it's not about rugby league. It's about their country and unifying their country. I can imagine someone like Jerome Doueihi thinking, well, at that stage of my career, that's a great way to finish my career up in PNG, leaving a really strong legacy. And I've been saying to the NRL for 20 years, because I've spent some time up there myself, that you could change a country with an NRL franchise up there. And at the time I said, you're 20 years away. I said, but the day will come where someone will see that this is a worthy cause, and it is. And let's hope it's successful. But every time, and now because Jerome Luai's gone, it's kind of raised the spread of what sort of talent just might go there and who might be lured there. And
yeah, is the tax-free dollar thing going to be hard to compete against in the market now?
Absolutely, no risk about that. It's an incentive, absolute incentive. But there'll be other challenges up there.
Oh, no doubt.
Yeah. But the tax-free dollars, there's no doubting that players at certain stages of their careers or players at certain levels within the NRL would say, you know what, I can get 4 years worth of money for 2 years up there. It's virtually how it works, and they can see that the benefit of doing that. So long way to go, and when they get in, they've got to be able to establish themselves as a long-term creditable, partner in the NRL, which I'm sure they will. They have a great deal of support up there. But that's the point Gal was making, and Brace took a little bit of umbrage to it because they've kind of gone about their business quietly, not wanting to upset everybody and just getting their,
Don't worry about upsetting them, Brace. You get in there, son.
Getting their ducks in a row, and then when the season is over, they can make a splash about, well, now the Perth Bears are coming in, and here we are, the mighty Bears.
They could launch their season with a fight between Brace and Gal before their first game.
Could that get them on
that
the
same
same
That is a great marketing mechanism.
It's pretty fit, Brace.
What weight category would they fight in, though?
He goes the distance, Brace.
He's a few categories below Gal.
I often see him running the streets of North Sydney.
Yes.
He's out training.
Good on you, Brace.
Yeah.
Don't be bullied.
It's the first time he's ever really fired up.
Yeah.
So I thought it was funny. It was terrific. It was great television. Great television. And he's passionate about it. He loves the Bears. He loves it.
Jareen Bula will be a one-club player.
I hope so.
They've got him till 2030.
It's a great result.
That's after they signed the two Mays to the end of 2030 last week. So whilst they've lost Jerome at the end of next year, they've extended a couple of their guns.
Well, they've got busy because now they'll probably worry about players following Jerome out the door in the next couple of years and heading off. And the May brothers have been very, very good for them. Jareen Bula, I mean, you've heard me talk about him. He's an outstanding young talent, and it's great when they stay with their own clubs. And he's seen fit to do that. Went till 2030, so that's a really good stint there. And fullbacks are so important in the modern game, and he's one of the emerging really good fullbacks. They missed him on the weekend. He didn't play on the weekend, and they certainly missed him. But that's good news, and it's good news for the West Tigers, who are really coming out of a long period there where they were struggling, and and buying players like Jerome Luai and the May brothers and Sania Taruva and these fellas has got them out of the cellar now and very, very competitive towards the top 8. They hit a little speed bump on the weekend, which just reminds us how fallible all the teams can be at different stages, and everyone's going to struggle. Everyone's going to get beaten by big scores on certain days, but it's what you do over the course of the 24 weeks that'll matter. And I still think the Tigers will be there at the back end of the season, but a wonderful result for them to sign up Jareen Bula. He's an outstanding young talent.
So Adam Doueihi's a month, is that correct?
Those sort of ones, it's what they call a subluxation now. Did this ball actually come out of the socket?
It dislocated
and went straight
briefly
back in.
Went back in.
Yeah. So with those sort of ones, depends what happens next time, but the ones that are very, very hard to get back in, sometimes there's too much damage to try and rehab it. Generally, during the season, if a player for the first time, dislocates or subluxates a shoulder like that, they will try to do it conservatively and rehab it and get them back in 4 to 6 weeks. And it's provided they can get the range, so how high, particularly in the position he plays, and the strength in those positions. And once they get so you've got to get the swelling out, then they've got to get the range, and then they've got to get the strength into what he's doing, and then he's got to have confidence to tackle and fall on the ground. And next time he goes to reach out to score a try, all those sort of things. You'll probably play now with a brace that goes around the top part of your arm and goes around your chest, which is very good for learning your golf swing, by the way.
I just bought one.
Did you? Yeah. And it'll sort of limit his range a little bit, which does at times limit your passing range, your longer passing range. But he's an experienced, he's been through injury before. It's good news that he didn't have to have surgery straight away. But just depending how that rehabs and what happens between now and the end of the year, it could mean reconstructive surgery in the off season just to tighten it up. But a lot will depend on what happens once the inflammation and the swelling goes down and they're able to get the pain out of it, then the range and the strength, and then the movability, and he'll probably play with a strap, which will limit some sort of motion and go from there. But it's good that he's not out for the season. They're certainly going to get him back.
Queensland will hit back in Game 2 of the Women's Origin.
Well, they always do. Pretty dour Origin-like game the other night, the NRLW, the women's game, wasn't it, the Origin? And full credit to the girls and the coaches. I mean, they don't play any football leading into this. I can only imagine how hard it would be for the men. Can you imagine the men walking into an Origin series pre-season, like without any football leading into it?
No way.
I think, but the girls produced a really good product. The Origin football always is. There's not much between it. Queensland were great. They led 6-0 at the break, and it was a low-scoring game, 7-6 up until the last minute before they nearly threw us intercept pass when they were 7-6 in front. Couldn't believe that. But I think there was enough there for Queensland to say, okay, well, we can turn that around next time. As I say, with Origin, when you play the 3 games over the course of a series and generally the same team for 3 games, it's a unique situation. Over the time, what we've found is that the team that loses usually learns more than the team that wins. It's how much New South Wales can improve, and they will need to improve on what they showed in Game 1 to win Game 2. Queensland, shouldn't be, but will probably be more motivated to learn more out of Game 1 and what they need to do better into Game 2. But there was nothing in it.
No.
I mean, with a minute to go, it's 7-6. There's a field goal of difference.
And it wasn't a typical Origin struggle, isn't it?
Yeah, and it wasn't through lack of ball movement either. And we don't get the amount of penalties and 6 agains and everything that we're seeing in the men's game with the women's game at the moment. So it was a really strong, dour Origin-like performance from both sides, and they'll be bruised for it. They're backing up pretty quick. They're on again next week up in Brisbane. So got the pleasure of calling that game next Thursday night, which will be good just prior to
kick off Magic Round.
Kick off Magic Round, yeah.
Up at Suncorp, so the stage is set for a Queensland resurgence.
I think I'm calling the Thursday night and the Friday night game. So yeah,
I'm doing Saturday, Sunday up at Suncorp. Be great to be back up. That's been a while since I've been there actually. But Queensland new halves, because no Brigginshaw, no Aiken.
Yep.
And Lauren Brown's moved from hooker into the halves, so they'll be better for the run. Last question in yes or no, Gus. Liam Martin's time at the Panthers is coming to an end.
No.
Well, I hope not. I hope not. I guess salary cap over the years is filtered away. I mean, can you imagine if they'd been able to keep all those players together for all these years? What a powerful force they'd be. And salary cap's going to be hard to manage going forward, and there's a lot more competition for players these days than there has been. The prices that players are demanding is making it harder and harder to keep teams together, particularly successful teams. And these fellas are getting to a stage of their career too, where they've been around for a while now. They're all getting into their late 20s, some starting to get into their early 30s and thinking about, all right, well, I've probably got 1 or 2 good contracts back. Maybe now's the time to cash in on everything that I've created for myself up until this point of time. Liam Martin is a very, very loyal and very simple young man. He's I don't say simple, but I mean he's very, he's a country boy, and he values loyalty, and he would value what the Panthers have done for him. And I would imagine his first choice is to stay there. But I guess they've got to look at their options financially after that.
So the purpose of the question is he says he will test his worth on the open market because he's a free agent from November 1.
Well, I can imagine all those players are being asked that at the moment. And when are they off contract? The end of 27 or 28 or 26?
End of 27. So Martin, Yeo,
and this is 18
Cleary,
months away.
Kenny and Leota are all off at the end of 2027. And Cleary and Yeo have already said they'll test the market, but I can't imagine Penrith are going to let those guys get to that stage. But certainly Martin has said that he will test the market and he is open to the idea of joining the Chiefs.
Well, they'll be open to joining anyone, I'd imagine, at that time. But you can imagine the salary cap pressure that they'll be under, that just those players. If they all earned exactly what they were worth, there's no chance they can all stay together. That's just a fact of life. And the fact that they're being asked these questions 18 months out, the Jerome Luai thing exacerbates that, but and the PNG thing. But it's very, very hard to feel how you're going to feel in 18 months' time. And these players that have been together for so long and achieved so much, and they've got young kids coming through the system that they don't want to lose either, that are starting to become more valuable as well. So it'll kind of be, they'll all have to sit in a room and say, well, we all take less and we all stay together and see just how many comps we can win. And they'll probably win this year's comp again, and they've already won 4. Or, you know what, I don't blame you, now's the time to go and set myself up for life and earn a good quid and explore something else. You know, and all the Panther players that have left Panthers over the last 4 or 5 years have all gone on and succeeded and helped other clubs. And they'll be very, very popular in the market if they put themselves on the market to become available. They won't be cheap because they're bloody good footballers.
So Nathan actually said one of the biggest differences between last year and this year has been it's a rare season where they haven't had a large turnover of like marquee players.
Yeah.
If you think back to the start of last year, they lost Luai, they lost Fisher Harris. Now they've leaked players, of course, right throughout their dominant period, but those 2 guys in particular were real linchpins for the Panthers. So they haven't had to lose any of their big names for this year, and they've had continuity and they're playing well as a result.
Yeah. And underneath that, I mean, the pathway system, which is designed to keep producing talent, you know, convey a better talent over a long period of time. You know, sometimes the younger players are moving on to other clubs because their pathway appears blocked at the top. And sometimes you can lose maybe a year or 2 of players that would have been available to play NRL that weren't. And so Penrith have got to go out into the open market and, you know, and buy a Blaze Talangi or buy a Papali'i or buy a player like that. You know, they've bought halfbacks over the years to come in and support Nathan Cleary for his rep duties and injuries and those sorts of things. So they've been fairly strategic about when they've had to go and buy a player in the market and when they've got a young fella coming through, like Casey McLean and those sort of players are ready to play first grade. And it just depends on what they've got in their lower grades coming through, and their lower grades are still very, very strong. NRL is extremely difficult to play these days. It's hard for kids to come in and find a footing straight away and even, you know, just to compete, let alone to win games. So, yeah, it'll be difficult for them. It's interesting. The players are saying they'll put themselves on the market because a lot of them have never really done that. They've never really put themselves on the market. And a lot of the players they've lost, it's kind of been the club's decision that we need to do that just to manage the salary cap and keep the core group of ones that we have. And as time goes on, your core group gets smaller because they command more and more money. They take more percentage out of your salary cap. So what would be a wonderful problem to have, you know, to be winning that many premierships and competing the way they are. And as I say, they're favourites for this year's comp as well, and would probably be favourites to win next year's comp. So extremely valuable players, and they've probably got to that stage of their career now where if one's going to go, we might all have a look and see what our options are.
All right, Gus.
I hope not. I hope they all stay together because it's a generational team. It's been a generational group of players.
We've got some outstanding Ask Gus questions this week.
Yes.
So I'm going to bump them up into our main episode.
Okay.
We have a question from Bracey from Zurich in Switzerland.
Fan?
You're big in Switzerland.
All right.
I know Gus is reluctant to pick his origin team until the day before they go into camp, but hypothetically...
No, you've made this
No,
up.
I haven't. I haven't. I promise
hypothetically is your word.
Yeah,
hypothetically is your word.
It's become a thing.
No.
What would he think of Fletcher Sharp as a smoky for a place on the Blues bench? Can cover any position in the back line and probably dummy half. He is always everywhere in attack and has raw pace. He's a long-suffering Newcastle fan. But he is from Switzerland, formerly of Curry. He says he loves the show, especially at this time of year. Grutzy, we salute you.
Well, Goodsy, can you write to us and tell us how you got from Curry to Switzerland?
They don't have a lot in common, those two places, do they?
No. I want to know the journey there. What's the story?
Come back to us next week.
Curry to Switzerland. Give us your life story.
Maybe he's a watchmaker.
I'll read it out on here, yeah.
Fletcher Sharp.
Yeah, they've got to be in the mix. You know, particularly if they're going to have 6 on the bench. You know, he covers a whole swag of positions on the bench. He's a good player, a really good player. I remember watching him years ago when he was playing Harold Matts, which was under 16s at the time. And I was sitting with our recruitment manager, Peter Sharp, and we're sitting there and I'm watching this young fullback who looked like Pappenhausen tear strips. I said, are you related to this kid? He said, I don't know. I said, can you go and find out?
It's missing an E, unfortunately.
Yeah, but he wasn't.
A Grutzi from Switzerland. There we are. Good to hear from you. Dylan James Lewis. Gus, can you please make scrums great again? I remember in the old days, a scrum could be won against the feed. What's the point of scrums now? Make him feed it into the front row, not the second row.
Yeah.
He's a man after your heart, Gus.
The poor old scrum. The poor old scrum. We might do that on 100% footy one night. I'll get vision of old scrums. Show you what it was really like to pack into a scrum. They were hard work.
They were wars.
Scrums were hard work, hard work. Really took a lot out of it. And sometimes they'd pack it 2 or 3 times before they get a result.
Mate, they're packing scrums 2 and 3 times again.
Oh.
What about when the referee packs the scrum now? Just get the bloody thing in and out.
They've got to give a lesson because some of them are putting wingers in the front row.
Oh, seriously.
It's ridiculous. It's not a scrum.
Surely we've got to brush the
all
scrum.
We're doing is keeping a group of players together so the others can attack for one
Just
play.
brush the scrum.
Well, I think
brush the scrum.
If it's going to be like that, they should brush it. They'll argue that the midfield scrum now, that we are getting tries scored on tackle 1, all right? But I think the scrum and the whole look of the scrum is an embarrassment to our code. And particularly anyone that remotely played in the past or followed the game backing up past eras. We just look at it and giggle. But there's so much about the game. But the scrum is a bad look. But it's not going back. We're not going to recover it.
There was one the other day where the ref said, no, mate, whatever he said. And there was a winger that had packed into the front row and he kind of looked at him like, I have no idea what you're talking about. Yeah. You're not allowed to feed it there or you can't do this. He's like, what? What? No.
And everyone packs into the scrum now. And they don't push. They just lean until the ball goes in and then they go. They just lean. Like scrums used to be bang and then push and your front rowers would be screaming out, more weight. And be trying to move the scrum around, screw the scrum around and hold the hooker up and he'd be in there with a loose arm trying to get down and get the ball and then the halfback would have to put it in. Look where they put the ball in there.
No.
They roll it.
It's
between,
like play the ball.
Yeah, it's just a little tunnel they make and they just roll it back. It's embarrassing.
You'd have 3 blokes in the HIA if you had modern day scrum.
It's embarrassing. Like it's so what's the point of it?
There's no point in it.
The point of it is for one tackle to keep 6 players stuck there so that the others can have a shot at scoring a try.
And half the time there's a front row or a back rower out in the back line anyway.
It serves no other useful purpose. I think they probably should just get rid of it. I personally find it embarrassing that that's what our scrum looks like. I don't like it at all. But that's where the game's gone.
I don't think we're going to make scrums great again, Dylan.
No, they're not going to be great again. I'll get some visions from old scrums.
Yeah, do that. Where the heads used to clash together.
You could write a book just on scrums, things I heard in scrums, things I saw in scrums.
ROX, ROX. Is the recruitment criteria changing for front rowers for the next generation, considering the way the game is currently played?
Recruitment criteria is changing all the time. I can't tell you how many times we're sitting down and talking about the way the game is played these days and what sort of player is coming through and what sort of player is likely to make your NRL program and survive in the NRL. There is no doubt that the speed of the game and the way the game is played, I think every club is looking at the type of player that's being successful, what the interchange effects are of having certain body types or certain player types. And I think that's why coaches or a certain section of the coaches really push for this 6-man bench, which I still don't agree with, but they push for a 6-man bench so that they could keep 4 bigger blokes on the bench, but then still have some coverage for key positions like outside backs and halves with an 18th and a 19th player. But that's presenting its problems. Don't get me talking about that, but that's presenting some problems as well. But rotation of big men in the middle, cheating the HIA system to get extra interchanges through head knocks and taking players off the field supposedly with head knocks, and there's no doubt we're seeing that as well. So they're all sort of manner to keep these big players in the game through interchange and whatever means else they can do to give them a spell and get them back out there. But these big fellas, if they were asked to play for 60, 70, 80 minutes, just couldn't do it. Not at the pace of the game. Well, they'll get by, but you'll concede 100 points. That's just where the game is at the moment. Your smaller, mobile, resilient type players are now that are being asked to play in the middle. There are fellas playing in the middle during the course of games that years ago would never have survived in the middle, that have never survived in that physical battle. But you can do it these days because they can get up and back and they can get out from marker and they can tackle and they can chase kicks and they can get in position early. And the bigger men, the less you play them, the less you can play them because they're not building any sort of resilience to go longer. If you keep using a player for 10 minutes either side of half time, and I think there are a few forwards that fall into this category, they kind of thought, well, if we can use him for 10 minutes before half time, that's great impact. Then give him a half-time spell, then use him for 10 minutes after half-time. That's great impact, gets our second half started. And that's all they're using them for. A lot of these front rowers are playing anywhere between 20 minutes and 45, 50 minutes. But there aren't too many front rowers in the game capable of playing at the modern pace for 60, 80 minutes. There's a couple, but not many. So they're going for the smaller middle type, mobile, footwork, and able to carve out long minutes if they have to, particularly long minutes of defence. Some of the stats we're seeing about time without the ball, if momentum goes against you with 6 agains and the way points are being scored, you can spend a long time without the ball, and that just adds more to your fatigue factor and puts a lot of pressure on the interchanging. So it's hard for coaches at the moment, really hard. And now that they've got 6, they're actually second-guessing themselves a lot when they get down to that 3rd and 4th replacement, because once I've sent my 4 blokes out, I can't use the other 2 unless there's a serious HIA or a serious illegality. So they're kind of holding back on their 4th body a little bit, covering their bases down towards the back end of the game, which means they're getting less football. And there's a cumulative effect of that over a period of time. And you can't always get them back to play in the New South Wales Cup or Queensland Cup that weekend because of the timing and the scheduling. So there are a lot of players out there that are getting a limited amount of football on game day, and then some going without weekends without a game of football. They sat on the bench for first grade, but there was no New South Wales and Queensland Cup game available to them to play on the weekend. So they have a fortnight off, and then suddenly you've got to use them and start them the following week. It's a nightmare for the coaches at the moment. It really is. It's created a lot of issues for them. And again, that's leading to a lot of the pace of the game and the scoring and the watering down of defence and some of the score lines that we're seeing. We keep saying it'll settle down. We're only at round 9, round 10 coming up. I still think Origin will be the circuit breaker. I'm very interested to see what happens during the Origin period. I've actually been talking to a few referees about it. And
you talk to the refs?
Yeah, often.
Do you really?
Often. They talk to me.
That's an unusual relationship.
Why?
I didn't think the refs would be overly forthcoming.
No, they're good blokes.
No, of course.
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
They're under instruction. They're doing the best they can. Yeah. Talk about things, life. We often get...
Life?
Yeah, life. Yeah, absolutely.
Do you talk on the phone? Do you catch up for secret meetings?
Oh, well, I won't divulge that.
Gus and the refs.
No, we get refs come out.
BFFs.
We get refs come out to training, come out and referee sessions for us and all that sort of thing. Yeah.
All right, there you go. There's a whole series of Ask Gus questions. We've certainly covered that one off for you, Rocks. 6 Tackles with Gus, State of Origin Game 1 live podcast. A reminder that we will be at the locker room at Sydney Olympic Park at 2 p.m. ahead of kick-off in Origin 1 on May 27. So that's only a couple of weeks away now. If you want to come along, send us your best Ask Gus questions to 6tacklesat9.com.au. You'll go in the running for a ticket, and it is all thanks to Tab, who are giving the punters plenty to shout about this NRL season. Download the Tab app. Tab, we're on. Chances are you are about to lose.
What are you really gambling with? For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website.
On the way to the break, before we preview round 10, Matt has given me a very detailed 6-tackle trivia question.
I know.
It goes for 3 pars. The Hunter Mariners formed out of the Super League War of 95, lasted just one season in 97 before being disbanded because the two comps came back together. The NRL decided the Hunter region couldn't support two teams along with the Knights, so the Mariners were cut loose. But here is your question. A number of players from the Mariners' first grade squad went on to join the Melbourne Storm for their debut in 1998. How many can you name? Some thinking music for Gus, and we'll be back to have a look at round 10. Tab is giving you something to shout about this NRL season. With Tab's NRL My Offers, get personalised offers on every game this round. Download the Tab app for the NRL. Tab, we're on. Imagine what you could be buying instead. For free and confidential support, visit gamblinghelponline.org.au.
What are you really gambling with? For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website.
So a lot of the Mariners squad,
Yep.
well, not a lot of the Mariners squad, but
Yep.
a core of the squad went to Melbourne
Yep.
to help launch.
Well, a lot of players went to Melbourne. Western Reds players went to Melbourne. Adelaide Rams players, because they were defunct too. When the two competitions, when the game split, which was a horrible time for the game, when the game split and they came back together in '98, Western Reds went, Adelaide Rams went, Crushers went.
I don't think the Crushers. Did the Crushers play in the
second,
ARL?
There was a second Brisbane team.
That was the Crushers, the South.
Crushers was Crushers was the ARL.
Did they make it to the ARL comp in
And
'97?
The Hunter Mariners went. I'm trying to think of that first Melbourne team though, of who was playing with the. I know Brett Kamali was.
Tick one. Pretty handy group of players, I've got to say.
Was a fullback.
Yep.
Trying to think of his name. It wasn't Robbie O'Davis. It was.
No. Similar name though.
Yeah, Robbie.
Played for New South Wales.
Yeah, I know. I can't think of his name. Robbie Ross.
Correct.
Yep.
2.
Who were the centres?
Brett Kamali's mate down in Melbourne.
Scott Hill.
Scott Hill.
Did the front go? Did Robbie Kearns go down from there? Was Robbie Kearns?
No, he was not a Mariner. Robbie Kearns was a Shark, wasn't he?
Was he?
One was a Kiwi. But they had a few good Kiwis, didn't they?
Yeah. No, test of my memory.
Richard Swain played
Hooker?
19
Was a
tests for
hooker?
New Zealand. And Paul Marquette,
Oh, yeah, it was a
who
lock
played
forward.
for Newcastle.
Yeah.
So they were the 5.
Kamali, Scott Hill, Robbie Ross. So they took the 7, 6, and 1.
And 9.
Yep. Yeah. But they took players from all those franchises: Western Reds, Adelaide Rams, a few from others. They were very, very strong.
I don't know what Matt's got in his brain this week, but he's actually put together a quiz of. It's called a defunct NRL clubs trivia quiz. I don't know why he's randomly put this in the rundown.
Defunct NRL.
Do you want me to ask you a couple of them?
Yeah, go on.
We've got a theme.
It's got its own theme. Wow.
Welcome to the defunct NRL
Why wasn't I
trivia
told?
quiz.
Why wasn't I consulted on this?
You missed the meeting. Gold Coast entered the competition as the Giants. They exited the competition as the Chargers. Name the team or the mascot they played under in between.
Oh, I've got no idea.
Yeah, you do.
Gold Coast. No, I don't know.
Yeah, yes you do.
No, I don't.
They started as the Giants. They exited as the Chargers. So who was the one in between?
Don't know.
Seagulls.
Oh, I thought they came in as the Gold Coast Seagulls.
Well, that's what my trivia quiz is telling me.
Because they were the Tweed Head Seagulls.
Yes. In 2000, who was the coach of the Northern Eagles?
Coach of the Northern Eagles in 2000. Was it Peter Sharp?
It was Peter Sharp, your mate. And who was their leading point scorer in 2000?
The leading point scorer in 2000.
I honestly, I cannot even remember this bloke playing for them, and clearly he did. Like, he's a very prominent player.
Yeah. Was it the halfback?
Yeah,
the kid that went to Melbourne?
No.
Um,
He was from the North Sydney side of the franchise.
wasn't Jason Taylor.
It was Jason Taylor.
Was it? Yeah.
I don't ever remember Jason Taylor playing for
Did
the
he play for the Northern Eagles?
Yeah.
Well, there you go. That was another disaster.
I like
wasn't
that
it?
music. Could you play that music again?
It was playing underneath.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. Jason Taylor played for the Northern
Jason
Eagles.
Taylor played for the Northern Eagles. I don't remember it either.
You know, year 2000 is 26 years ago.
Oh, man.
That's a lifetime ago.
Yeah. Time's getting away, Gussie boy.
Sure is.
Let's have a look at round 10. Thanks to Tab giving the punters plenty to shout about this NRL season.
What are you really gambling with? For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website.
Thursday night footy here on 9. Dolphin versus Bulldog.
We were pretty good last week with the tips.
You were very good.
Yeah.
Very good. I got 7 from 8 last week.
Did you?
I think I followed a few of yours in.
That's the way.
So the Dolphins, no changes to the starting 13 at this stage, but Cody Nikorima and Jeremy Marshall-King have been named in 18 and 19 respectively. So assuming they'll take some part in the game. Marshall-King's a big return for them. And Cameron Ciraldo has stuck solid as the Bulldogs try to right the wrongs of last week and the last few weeks, actually. So Kurt Mann with a head knock out. Jake Turpin with a bicep out. Haven't had much luck with the injuries last few weeks, Gus.
No, it's been a tough period, but we've just got to get through that.
$1.47 Dolphin, $2.70 Bulldog, the market for Tab. Friday, early game, Roosters $1.11 versus the Titans at $6.50. This game's being played up in Gosford. Now, Angus Crichton hurt his knee last week, but he's been named. Whether he plays, we're not sure. Cody Ramsey on the wing because Mark Nwanganitawasi probably needs surgery. And Spencer Leniu comes into the starting team. Lindsay Collins is concussed. The big news for the Titans, Gus, is that Zane Harrison will play halfback and make his NRL debut.
Yep. Everyone's seen him coming on the horizons for some time. I actually spoke to him 3 or 4 years ago. I met him and his parents at the Gold Coast just to introduce ourselves. And he's been a talented young player coming through the system. And he gets his debut this week. He replaces Lachlan Ilias. I don't know if Lachlan's injured, is he?
No, he's on the bench, so they've made a tactical change.
Okay. Yeah, the Roosters, I mean, last week we tipped the Broncos to beat the Roosters, and I don't know what happened in the first half, and I'm equally perplexed with what happened in the second half. That was an extraordinary game. Roosters were just so dominant early, led 30-0, and then with 15 minutes to go, it looked like they could get beaten. The Storm came roaring back. So I don't know what to make of that game. I really don't. But Roosters flex their muscles. They show that when they get themselves up for it, they can beat anyone in this competition. And they started the year as premiership favourites, put in a couple of wobbly ones early, which is not unlike the Roosters, to be honest. But then they get into a bit of a rhythm. They were ruthless on Anzac Day against the Dragons. They were brilliant last week in the first half against the Broncos. This Gold Coast team, everyone knows the talent, the sheer talent that they have and their ability to score points. I'm really interested in the performance of this young halfback, Zane Harrison, which will free up Jaden Campbell a little bit too in 6, and I think that's the makings of a great young combination. Kinney, Campbell, Harrison as your halves and your spine. That's something that can build into a very strong future together over a long period of time. I would have to favour the Roosters down here, but I'd say they'd learned a lot about last week, about 80-minute performances in what happened to them against the Brisbane Broncos, but they should be too strong for the Titans in this game.
Friday night footy from Queensland Country Bank Stadium in Townsville. The Cowboys up against Parramatta. You'll see that from 7:30 here on 9. What can I tell you about the teams? Oh, well, I can tell you that Jason Taumalolo becomes the Cowboys' most capped player going past the great Jonathan Thurston.
Yeah, they've got such speed and flair, the Cowboys. It's just such a defensive test over the course of 80 minutes to try and contain them. And Scott Drinkwater is in great form. Their halves are playing really well, Dearden and Clifford. They've got speed out wide. Their forwards work hard. It's a really good team. And when they get on the right leg and get a bit of momentum, they're hard to contain. Parramatta, more injury issues for them. I think they've been terrific every week. I mean, they come out and put in an 80% performance every week. They don't always get it right, but...
So Riley Smith's out because of the sternum, so De Silva starts.
He's a huge loss, but De Silva's been waiting for his opportunity to be an 80-minute hooker. He's certainly got the constitution for it. We've seen him come off the bench and have impacts. Now he gets a chance to start a game and feel his way through the 80 minutes. But you can never write Parramatta off. Challenge to go up to North Queensland. North Queensland in good form. They can put in a wobbly one, the Cowboys. They can put in really good ones and they can put in a wobbly one, probably like most teams in the competition at the moment. And it comes out of nowhere, but I don't think it'll be this Friday night. I think they'll go on their winning way and handle the Eels. They always test Toads. Be careful.
Okay. $1.34 favourites. North Queensland on tab, $3.30 for Parramatta. Saturday, 3 o'clock. Dragons $3.20 against the Knights, $1.36. That's at Wynn Stadium in Wollongong. The Dragons coming off a much-needed bye, one would suggest. So Clint Gutherson is back from a hamstring injury. He'll play fullback. Cade Reid stays in the team alongside Daniel Atkinson. They'll get Dylan Egan back for his first NRL match after he did his ACL last year. And for Newcastle, there are no changes to the team that won last week.
Yeah, I think the bye would have been some welcome relief from the news cycle after the Anzac Day game and the changes that they've made there with their coach, and gives the new coach a chance to get his feet under the table and get some semblance of normality into their training and preparation. He's pretty much stuck by the kid, Cade Reid, to stay at 7. And I guess if you're going to put a kid in, you've got to persevere with it as much as possible. I think they'll learn a lot from the first game that he played. The Newcastle team, it's got the makings of a really good side, doesn't it? I mean, they showed their attacking ability the other day and how dangerous they can be. And when you think about this, Kalen Ponga, Fletcher Sharp, Dylan Brown, Phoenix Crossland type spine, they've got a lot of creativity there. And then you've got the likes of Dane Gagai and Dominic Young, Bradman Best and Greg Marziu, who can certainly finish off. Their forwards are hard-working. Trey Mooney, since moving from the Raiders up there, has found his feet in the NRL really well. Their back rowers are terrific. Jermaine McEwen and Dylan Lucas are really good players. Matt Croker is a real tradesman. They've got a strong bench too. Like you've got Tyson Frizzell and these fellas on the bench, Sandon Smith. It's a strong-looking unit. Look, and Dragons 2 weeks to get ready for a game in Wollongong. It's a game they can win. But I'll go with the momentum at the moment and tip Newcastle Knights. It's hard to tip the Dragons until they show us something.
If they were ever going to fire, it'd be this week.
It's a game they can win. I mean, it's a game they can win. If you're a Dragon fan, go out because it's a game they can win. Trust me. It's, and Newcastle will know it. They'll be nervous. It's not often the Newcastle Knights are $1.35 favourites going into a game, so there's some added expectation there, and they've got to get over the euphoria of that game last week against South Sydney and how much that took out of them, and the big home crowd, and now they're going to go down to a crowd that boos them the whole night. And the traditional there's always something happens when the Dragons play the Knights. There always used to be fierce rivals. There was always drama when the Dragons played the Knights. And I think it went back in the old days where a few players changed between clubs at different times. And there was always a lot of animosity.
The Steel Cities, Gus.
Yeah, the Steel Cities. There was always animosity. So I think the Dragons will be waiting for them. The Dragons have had 2 weeks to get ready. They've flushed out that Anzac Day game. They'll be looking to hit back. The new coach has had a couple of weeks with them now. Danger game, but I'll tip the Knight to win.
All right. This is a good one. Accor Stadium, 5:30 Saturday. South's $1.74 against the Sharks at $2.10. Cronulla outsiders. They're coming off a 40-point win. Some changes for Souths. So Ashton Ward will come back in and play halfback. Jamie Humphries goes to the bench. Jack Whiten broke his arm. So Campbell Graham plays centre and Ed Corsi comes onto the wing. They get Jai Gray back from that shoulder injury. That's earlier than I think many people expected. And Keon Kalamatangi returns to the front row. Aiken comes back into the second row to toll it to the bench. And for the Sharks, well, no changes.
Yeah.
Gee, that's a strange market.
Again, Souths are coming off an extraordinary game last week. They scored 38 points and were beaten. We tipped the Knights to beat them. I didn't expect that sort of scoreline in the game, to be honest. And the Knights were able to prevail in the end. I think the Sharks will win this game. I think that last week will give them a lot of confidence. They kind of started, they've been up and down a little bit this year. And the first half last against the Tigers, you could see that they were just struggling for confidence or struggling for, I don't know, they were kind of very conservative and they weren't moving that quick. And then once they got the wind in their sails in the second half, they actually ran into the wind in the second half. They actually put them to the sword, and all of a sudden the combination started to come out. The two halves in Nick Hines and Braden Trindle were extraordinary. William Kennedy is such a good player at the back. Gee whiz, he's an underrated player. Sifa Talakai back in the centres with KL Hero. I think the Sharks could be a little bit too solid in certain aspects of the game for South. Having said that, South can beat anyone on their day, and they've got, probably the best left side attack in the competition. And if they get a head of steam up, Latrell's in brilliant form at the moment, certainly point scoring form, but they are leaking a lot of points too. And the Sharks, if you're leaking points, Sharks is one team I don't want to play against. So I'm going to go for the Sharks to beat them. I think that market is wrong.
Saturday night over at Four Pines, Brookie, Manly $1.60 favourites against the Broncos at $2.35. We know Manly tested the Panthers last week. Jamal Fogarty comes back into the team after Joey Walsh made quite an impact, didn't he? Starting the game at halfback last week.
He's a good kid. Nice kid.
For Brisbane, Tom Duffy's back in the 7 because Adam Reynolds has the head knock, so he won't be able to play this week. They've got players out everywhere. So Jesse Arthurs goes into the centres because Katani Staggs is out. Young gun Antonio Verhoeven steps onto the wing because Dean Mariner ended up in hospital, but they get Preston Ricky back from suspension on the bench.
Horrible injury,
yeah.
Dean Mariner.
Yeah.
That could have been life-threatening.
Yeah.
Terrible.
Ben Hunt, though, is in the extended squad, so they may get him in. In fact, he may play halfback. What's he been named in? Jumper number 21. So maybe racing the clock. Solid favourites, Manly at home.
Yeah, well, 6 weeks ago, could you have predicted that Manly would be such heavy favourites over the Broncos at home the way things are going? Again, I think the market is wrong. I think it's disrespecting the Broncos a little bit and what they're capable of. Having said that, Manly are in good form. If Fogarty does play, it makes a big difference as well. The truth is here, I don't know. I can make a case for both teams. So it's very much toss of the coin. I couldn't take those sorts of odds about Manly in this game. On the sheer odds, I would back Broncos. But as to who will win, I think it's a dead set even money bet. I don't think there'll be much in this at all. I've got great respect for the Broncos and what they're capable of. I really do. Yeah. I'm going to tip. I'm going to tip. Seagull.
Manly.
Yeah, their form against the Panthers last week was impressive. And Broncos, because they've had so many changes and now they're getting players back, might take another couple of weeks to gel 100%. Playing away from home for the second week in a row. So, yeah. Look, the true answer is I don't know. But for the sake of a tip, I'll go with Seagull.
Manly at home, Sunday, 2:00. What an important game this is. Melbourne, $1.53 favourites against the Tigers at $2.50. Can I send our very best to Craig Bellamy as well? He's one of the great men of the game. Jerome Hughes has been named to return, so they get their gun halfback back in. Some changes here for Benji Marshall. So Bula's still out. Heath Mason's going to come in and play at fullback. Turuva back to the wing. Patrick Herbert replaces Stafford Tower in the centres, and Madden plays halfback because Adam Doueihi, of course, is injured. Kai Pearce-Paul will return. But they lose Samuela Fainu. Oh, geez, he's a prospect, isn't he, Gus? They'll dearly miss him. So, can Melbourne finally break this run at home?
They will break the run. They will win this week. I think they'll beat the Tigers. If Jerome Hughes plays in particular. Now, what was his injury? Did he actually fracture a hand or fracture a wrist or something? Seems like a very quick recovery, but he did this at the back end of last year too.
Oh, it's a head knock.
Was it?
Yeah, he was concussed.
I had visions of him going down with a wrist injury. All right, well, if it's just a concussion, he'll be fine. No, Storm will break the drought this week. They'll win this week.
Now, Gus, talk about danger games.
Mm-hmm.
Sunday footy on 9.
Mm-hmm.
Raider, $3.40 at home to Penrith at $1.32. Ethan Strange is back. He missed because of an ankle last week. That was a good win by Canberra.
Yeah.
Losing Strange late in the piece. So Weeks goes back to fullback. Hudson Young is back from suspension. For Penrith, Liam Henry's named on a bench to make his return from a knee injury for the first time this year. Jack Cole will wear the number 14 because Jack Cogger is suspended. Oh, I can smell danger in Canberra.
Can you?
Yes.
Ah, okay.
Can you not smell it?
Well,
maybe it's my BO.
As I said earlier in the year, I'm not tipping against Panthers until further notice. In their last couple of games, like they were beaten by the Bulldogs. No one expected that one a few weeks ago. And then they've sort of run into Dolphins, who challenged them up there in Darwin. And then last week, Manly could easily have beaten them at some stage. So I think they've, teams are sort of working out what the battle is with the Panthers. And, the Panthers, but they are the Panthers. And I'm not tipping against them. I'll tip the Panthers to win. But I can see what you're saying, particularly with Hudson Young coming back. They've been missing him for a couple of weeks. And Jaden Brayley at lock is an interesting selection for me.
Yes, well, he was named there last week.
Owen Paddy on the bench. Owen Paddy on the bench. Dane Laurie on the bench. Mariota, Morgan Smithies, Chevy Stewart. Got a smallish bench. Yes, I'm going to tip Panther, but I can understand your concern there about this being a danger game. So if we go back to the start, I'm going to tip Rooster to beat Titan, Cowboy to beat Eel, Knight to beat Dragon, but a danger game, Shark to beat Rabbit. I don't know. Sea Eagle, Bronco, Sea Eagle, I don't know. I'll tip Sea Eagle at home. Storm to beat Tiger and Panther to beat Raider.
Very good. Very, very good. Thank you, Gus. Only 2 rounds until the Origin teams are named as well.
And then we'll get into it.
We might have to hypothetically get some possible selections next week. Oh, it's Magic Round next week.
Yes.
You up there the whole weekend?
No, I'm going up to Thursday night to call
Origin.
Mm-hmm. Friday night, I'm calling the Friday night game.
Yes.
And I think the Bulldogs are the early game on the Friday night. They're the 6 o'clock game.
Right. So your Magic Round will be parcelled up early.
So I'm finished on Friday night, and I might have a couple of horses racing on the Saturday. So I'll just wait and see whether or not they get a start.
And, in Bracey?
Yeah, I might have a racing day on the Saturday.
Ooh.
Well, one might be in Brisbane. The other one I think will be at Scone.
You haven't got any Group 1 horses up there for the Winter Carnival, have you?
You never know your luck in a big city, mate.
Can you keep us all across this?
If you like.
Our good friends at Tab will be very interested. Thanks, Gus. That's 6 tackles for another week. Thanks for your company, and make sure you keep listening out for all of our other podcasts, including Stories of Origin with Nathan Cleary, which is already out, and our chat with Billy Slater with his favourite Origin game comes out on Monday. Look forward to your company next week.